Welcome back to Hashtag Managed. This is part two of how to sync your cycle to your social media business. We're switching things up with our first ever cut to the chase episode, skipping over the usual segments and diving straight into a topic I'm incredibly passionate about: cycle syncing. If you enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed recording it, I'd love for you to share it with your audience or someone who's thinking about starting their cycle syncing journey in 2025. Now, let's cut to the chase.
Yeah, wait, should we record this? Because I saw this on my feed and I was going to leave a comment and I saw your comment on it. And then I
Yeah.
didn't even end up leaving my comment.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay.
Okay. When you start your business, no one ever prepares you for what's in store. So finding someone else who just gets it is sometimes the thing that can keep you pushing towards those big vision board business goals.
We're turning our Zoom coffee chats into a weekly, unfiltered podcast for online business owners. There were so many good ones, we always wanted to record them and repurpose them for content anyways. And that's on being a social media manager.
I'm Jessica Sheehy.
And I'm Madeleine Digan. And this is
hashtag
managed. I think it's perfect.
I like it. I like it.
Today we are talking about how to sync your cycle to your social media business. And if you guys have been listening, this is a journey I started at the end of last year, and I told you all you're going to be sick of me, but in the best possible way. And so to kick it off, I kind of want to take you on a journey back to 2007. I was in 7th grade. I think I was 13, and I got my first period. I was the first of all my friends, and looking back, the emotions I felt when getting my period was embarrassed and scared.
Mm-hmm.
Scared because there was no messaging of like, "Yay, you're a woman."
Mm-hmm.
There was none of that. There was none of that. My friends and I will joke with you that the American Girl doll, like our moms, I was an American Girl doll girly, so my mom didn't even give me that, but like the girls who their mom gave them, it was like your body or something like that.
Yeah. Oh
If
yeah.
you remember like
Yeah.
that, like the cover of that book where it's like they were in a towel,
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
And I went to a private Catholic school. So yes, like in 6th grade, we had like the body parts, but it was just so uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And looking back, I'm like, why did we make it? Why did our teachers make it uncomfortable?
Mhm.
And obviously, each generation can only get better with time. But something I just keep thinking back to is why it has all the messaging around periods been disgust, pain, and all of this negative where
Yeah.
our bodies, like our women's body, like are so powerful.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, so that happened, got my period. I'm like, okay, let me wear it. But also I got really bad cramps when I was a kid, to the point like that I would throw up and want to skip school.
Mhm.
So it wasn't so struggled with that. Once I got to high school, that's when I got put on the pill. I didn't question it because, and shame on me. And if there are college girls listening to this too, I want to also say, like, I'm not trying to shame you at all or be like, go get off the pill. Like,
Mhm.
do what is best for you. Do and that I'm gonna once we get into like the steps of how to cycle sync, that's my very first step is to, yes, get the book by Alyssa, but also do your own research. I think that is the most, because that's gonna empower you, because everybody's body is different, everybody's journey is different. But I will say, I wish, and also if there are moms listening too who have daughters, who are like in that stage of life as well, again, go get that book. I'm like, I need a promo code here
I
because also
seriously.
Alyssa's definitely one of like my dream client or well, yes, that'd
Mhm.
be sick.
Right.
But but also dream guests. Like let's
Mhm.
put that out into the universe that hopefully maybe some of these clips would also reach her. I have tagged her in a few stories and she has regrammed me. So it's again like
Mhm.
I I'm telling you guys that too, where if the book does change your life, like it did mine, maybe give hashtag manage a shout out and tag her in it as well. Like let her know where you heard about the book and if I'm inspiring you to start this journey, like that's how you can thank me, okay?
Mhm.
Um, but I never questioned birth control, okay? And I just wanted the pain to stop. And I want to bring I kind of want us to bring this into marketing for a second before I go on and just how isn't it funny how the period industry and how it's been marketed it's only now. Also, it's it was only it was 2023 that they finally started using real period blood for testing tampon like absorption.
Interesting. I did not realize it was
2023.
23. Wow.
So
That's
in all those commercials, like all that
Mhm.
BS, like water that was just probably
Yeah.
food dyed,
Yeah.
it's crazy to me, And why were the men marketing our periods?
Mhm.
With and you guys know them, where it was like the white pants. Jessica was mentioning like, oh, doing cartwheels. I'm like,
Yeah, dancing, like, gosh, yeah, because I dance so much on my period.
tell me you didn't have a period without telling me you never experienced a
Mhm.
period in your life.
Yeah.
And just birth okay, so now I wanna bring it back to birth control too, because also how, like, companies I think that was also very much like with ADHD drugs, which we will get to, but was it forced upon me? No. It
Mhm.
like, I was 17,
Mhm.
but naive 17 me didn't care to do the research of, like, how birth control would affect my like, other things. I also was 30 years old when I realized that you don't ovulate on your period, and that's it kind of embarrassing to admit out loud. I knew, like, the periods themselves were fake, but you guys,
Yeah.
ovulation is very important. Like, and again, for the like, if there are any, I for whatever reason, if you are in high school and college, and I just please don't be embarrassed, but like, just know that like you're not, which can affect your sex life,
Mhm.
and like. I want you all to have a great sex life, like that. Not to like,
Yeah.
not to
Yeah.
like but like that's important. That's
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
and that's another thing, like, that I could go on a tangent about that too, about, like, how women I forget that percentage, I can't quote I should have written that down, but, like, how we aren't experiencing orgasms as much as we should be, but, like, it's harder for us too, and for multiple reasons, so,
Mhm.
anyways, let's get into kind of why we are here, why are we gathered here today?
Mhm.
Well, so I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 7. Again, yet another pill that messed with my hormones, but did
Mhm.
didn't question it. I don't blame my parents at all for putting me on it.
Mhm.
I think ADHD medicine is great and it is a great tool, but when COVID hit and when there became the shortage of the drugs and also expensive, I also sorry, this is definitely an ADHD episode, so I do apologize. I am trying to keep I just am, like, so excited that I truly feel like this is me showing you guys who I am too
Mhm.
right now, so I am excited, but I wanna quickly add that it was my husband actually who convinced me to get off birth control and my medicine, and not in, like, not a toxic, negative
Yeah, yeah.
man, wait, like, I even asked Brennan a few weeks ago, I was like, "Babe, quick question." I was like, "How did you know, like, birth control wasn't good for me?" And
Mhm.
he's like, "I don't know." He's like, "I was reading article," like, he was like, "There were things that were pop," again, my husband reads a ton, he really does. And he was just like, so I guess I started reading some that, where I started to question it, you know?
Yeah.
And he was the one who convinced me to get off of that. I think I was 25. 25, yeah, when I got off of that. So it's been 5 years, and instantly I did kind of notice a mood change in the best possible way when I got off of it.
Mhm.
But the ADHD meds, you guys, was a I never realized, like, Brennan was like, "You were night and day, just, like, with the crash," but when you've taken a drug for 20 years,
Mhm.
that has helped you that has helped you succeed in life,
Yeah.
that was hard. That and I do not recommend, doing that cold turkey. If I could go back in time, I would have told myself to, like, do it, like, slowly go off of it, but wow. So coping with that, I think that's when I started to realize I was never taught how to function as an adult with ADHD, that I was like, I seriously do not know how to function, how to meet deadlines, because
Mhm.
if I'm being honest, I was always relying on that.
Yeah.
And school never came easy, but I worked my butt off, and I never wanted ADHD to be an excuse for me. I never did. And I think it was just last year when I finally was like really struggling with my ADHD, where I was like, I need to find the solution to how can I be a productive adult human being running a business, because I was lost. I was
Mhm.
dropping balls and just a hot mess, and beating myself up so much of like, "You're a failure," and I know we've been talking about that too a lot lately, but, like, it was bad, like, where I can if I knew my friends like, their inner dialogue was as negative as mine, like, I would cry, like, because I was being so mean to myself. So
Mhm.
that's what started the journey of cycle seeking. I had heard about it, didn't know much, but then it was one of my coworkers who's a Gen Z, and she was like, "This book," and I had heard about In the Flow, and I also had heard of her other book, which I'm drawing a blank on right now. But I was like, "Okay, let me at least start with the In the Flow," because my first initial knowledge of cycle syncing was like, "Oh, I know, okay, diet and exercise. Okay." But the second I heard that you could sync your cycle with your business to help you, I was like, "Tell me more.
Mhm.
Tell me more." And full transparency too of like why I started this journey, like uh, I feel like come gather again, come closer, friends. Like we are getting personal. But I want a baby soon, and it's just one of those things. I want to know my body. And let me tell you, I'm also in the stage where I have friends who are pregnant, and I'm like, "Oh, let me sit back and watch," because I'm like, for instance, today my best friend, one of my best friends who I've known for 25 plus years. She's the gymnast. Again, if you guys are invested and actually know, like, this is Jordan. She's the gymnast. She went to Ivy League. But she just had her daughter. And she's like, she's in the NICU because she swallowed, okay, she used a big word I didn't know. I had to
Mhm.
Google. She swallowed like her poop, essentially, which
Okay.
is very common. It is very common, like it is common, but she's using big words, and I'm like, "I need you to dumb this down for me right now." Like like, I'm realizing I'm about to become a WebMD, like,
Mhm.
person, like, that's the phase of life we are in.
Yeah.
I digress. So, again, talking about pregnancy, and why I also love In the Flow is because if you are pregnant or if you are in menopause, premenopause, she talks about those things too, because guess what? Like, no, you can't sync your cycle like when you're pregnant and whatnot, but she just talks about all like everything that's going on in your body, your hormones. And a lot of this cycle syncing is all about balancing your hormones. And
Mhm.
so, like being on birth control, being on Concerta, those were messing with my hormones. And that's something I wish I could tell my younger self that, hey, by the way, those cramps that you were throwing up, A, not normal, B, probably is a hormonal imbalance and it has to do with your diet and exercise.
Mhm.
So I'm trying this episode, I'm really just trying to, yes, throw a lot at you guys, hopefully encourage you guys to start to do your own research. My main goal for this entire episode is, and we will get there, but it's how like syncing your cycle with your business because it
Yeah.
has changed my life. It has changed, and we're only in like month 2 or 3, you know?
Mhm.
So I'm excited to take you guys along this journey with me. And my hope is, yeah, encouraging you guys, and this can be a part of our conversation that we have. So anyways, again, I know I'm getting kind
Mhm.
of like
No, no,
sidetracked.
this is all I'm, like, taking notes over here, like,
Okay, I'm like, because clearly I'm nervous too. Like, I'm nervous and I'm like, oh, I feel as if I'm stumbling over my words and whatnot, but I'm excited. And then, okay, I talked about that. So now let's kind of get into the steps and what I would tell you guys if if this is your first time ever hearing the word cycle sync or cycle syncing,
Mhm.
or even if you are a cycle syncing master, you know, I hope if you are one of those people, please A, hit the follow button, B, please geek out with me in our DMs, like, and tell me all the things. Give me your grocery list,
Mhm.
give me your exercise, calendar, please, because I wanna know.
Mhm.
But I first recommend starting with reading, again, I said that reading up on your own research, getting some books, like, in the flow and just starting there. And also ask yourself why you want to cycle sync. I think that's gonna be a game changer because you might wanna cycle sync, to lose some weight.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I'm noticing a difference in my body, like, feeling less, bloated, feeling less inflamed. That's the word
Yeah.
I was inflamed. If you're wanting, because here's the thing, actually, before we get into the steps, the things I've noticed since cycle syncing, I have more energy. I'm less cranky. I have a better relationship with Brennan because I actually know how to communicate. Like him knowing those phases is very much helping our relationship, okay? On multiple levels. Okay, okay. Us we'll leave it at that. And then also just business. Like, oh, I'm excited to wake up because I'm better planning out my weeks and even my month because so in your follicular stage, so that's right after your period, essentially, okay? And that's when you can take a step back and like view. And once you start to know each, you have the 4 phases. And once you know your energy level for those and the types of activities, not just in business, you're going to plan out your months 10 times better. For instance, ovulation, you're going to be a social butterfly. I wish I was in ovulation right now because, like, like, if we could, it'd be awesome if Jessica and I could sync and be like both be in ovulation at the same time to be like, okay, let's
We're
batch our,
we're just, like,
batch.
podcasting like crazy.
Which we are chatting, you know, we're always yapping, but, like, I truly am like, "Ooh, those episodes would be."
Mhm.
Now I need to start to do a theory where it's, like, on the weeks that I am ovulating, like,
Mhm.
let's look at the
The data
ratings.
we need to look at the data of, like, okay, people listen to the length of
Yeah.
the episode because they were like, "Okay, this is, like, good conversation." It's like yeah, that's hilarious.
So but you'll just start to know. And so energy, more productivity, better relationships, um And I'm enjoying my workouts too because I feel like a lot of us, I think that what I'm about to say is actually going to be very relatable in the fact that it's the new year, right? So all of us are on the like new year, new me, really wanting to kick up our wellness and stick to our fitness routine. But you might notice that there's some weeks that you're just like when you start to drop off. Guarantee you, guarantee you, you're in your luteal going into your menstrual phase.
Mhm.
A time you should be resting
Yeah.
and not feeling guilty about that. Also, they've there's been studies, again, shocking because actually there's like no studies done on women's health, which is
Mhm.
sad. But there have been, I think, a few studies done where you actually, if you're gonna do some hit workouts during your menstrual phase, like you're actually gonna gain weight.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if you need a permission slip to not, like if you need somebody, how much way does what I'm saying weigh? I like you.
Mhm.
Oh, Maddie said, well,
Yeah.
I'm giving you permission. I'm giving you the permission slip to rest when you are bleeding because we
Mhm.
should. Your
Yeah.
body's doing a lot, okay? Um, so, anyways, so many benefits. The steps. Let's get into the steps. So, obviously, recommending the reading up, doing your own research, and then I would start slow. Start first with your diet, then start to incorporate the exercise routines. And like I said, you'll be able to plan it out. And for somebody like me who has ClassPass, I love it because if you have something like ClassPass, maybe you're into Pure Bar or Club Pilates or wherever you are that you have one. I know that these classes have different types of workout. You're gonna geek out because you're gonna start to be able to plan and be like, hang on, let me look at what phase I'm in so that I'm scheduling my workouts accordingly, that I actually want to do them and enjoy them. And I will say, also give yourself grace. Like, I'm still not perfect at this, but why I like the book In the Flow so much is because she gives these amazing tables and she divides it out by each phase, and she gives you like includes a grocery list for each phase, like here are the vegetables, the meats, the fruits, the seeds. Ooh, we'll circle back to that, but just what you should be eating in each phase, as well as she includes um an exercise table. She has one for relationships and for work. So I'll include those probably on our Instagram next week. That's a lot to include in the newsletter, but definitely I'm excited to be creating this content for myself, but also for the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I would say, so once you start with diet, start with exercise, then start to incorporate your work and then combining them all together. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm brand new to this. Those are 2 steps. Follow along because I've said this and I keep talking. Jessica and Harmony are probably the 2 that are like, "Oh my gosh, Benny, okay. Are you actually gonna do it though?" No, I actually am though because I'm really excited for this reel that I'm putting together. Because and me sharing it, I think, on the podcast is also, like, holding me accountable to be consistent.
Mhm.
And I've had really good engagement or people reaching out. The little things that I have kinda sneak peeked on my personal Instagram of, like, what I'm cooking, so many people have reached out and were like, "Please keep sharing this. Like, share your grocery list and share what you're meal prepping
Yeah.
during each phase," which I plan on doing because I'm just for me. And
Yeah.
I think that's been a common theme that we keep talking about just in this month of creating content you love, creating the content you want to see. And yeah, do you have questions? I'm like, I know that was so much,
No,
and I hope I did it justice. I hope I'm encouraging you, inspiring you to geek out with me. But yeah,
Yeah.
tell like, was that good?
Yeah, no, that was so good, like, so good. I think it's so
Not me needing Jessica's validation, like, all the time, though, where I'm
you
like,
affirmation on,
"Yes."
my presentation. No, I think it was so good, and I think it's, like, it really boils down, like, I think when I last year, I actually started like, so I, of course, was listening and like, taking notes, but I was also, like, thinking of this app that I want you to create, like, I'm just giving you, like, a whole new thing that I need you to do, but, like,
Mhm,
so I've like, I think I've been tracking my cycle for, like, a long time, like, it's one thing, like, I will say, like, I'm very regular, like, TMI, like,
mhm,
I just share that with the class, but, like, I'm very regular, like,
mhm,
and I think that's what's so fascinating to me about, like, menstrual cycles across all women because it's so different, and I think that's where, like, you talked about, like, the marketing, obviously, there's so much wrong with that by the men, like, who messed it up, but I think that's where all of these companies, even now in 2025, like, miss the mark because every woman's period is so different and every woman's cycle is so different. And I just feel like there's just so much missed opportunity for companies to market to that. So, anyway, I'll get off that little, like, pedestal, but what I think is so important is, knowing when you're in those phases and how you can I liked how you said, like, start slow, like, diet, exercise, work, and then once you, like, marry those all together, and to your point, like, it's gonna take time to perfect it, but once you start seeing things, like, it really starts, like, changing the game of, like, how you're feeling and, like, your happiness and, like, your productivity because 'cause you're not putting yourself down because
mhm.
you're feeling different, like, or you're in your, like, luteal phase, like, it's okay, like, you can just wait, hold on, you'll be out of that soon, and I think that's what's,
Yes.
like, so important, so, my idea for your app that you're gonna create in 2025 to go with your content
Okay, okay.
is I, like, envision an app that, like, goes beyond, like I know, like, period trackers and, like, ovulation trackers, like, exist, but, like, a cycle syncing app that's, like, almost, like, AI driven where, like, you wake up and again, I know everyone's not, like, super regular, so I imagine that it might change, but again, AI can learn, right? So that's where I feel like leaning into that. But it can, like, recommend for you, like, all of those things that you need at this day in this phase that you're in to, it's like, "Okay, for the week, here are the workout classes you're going to book and you're not going to book." Like, you're not gonna take that
Mm.
class. Like, you're gonna go to the grocery store, here's what you're gonna buy, and here's what you're gonna skip. Like, just really, like, laying it out like that, I think would be so good. Like, so anyway, again, we need to, like, probably figure out at this point how to develop an app because our, like, pipeline is overflowing at this point. But I think this is so good, and I am excited for this to be a continuous conversation, like, in our content and in our podcast.
Me too, and something so, again, this is a very beginner episode, I think, because so I mentioned the seeds and the nuts, and I said I
Mhm,
wanted to circle back because I haven't gotten that deep, okay? So, there are specific seeds and nuts that for each phase to incorporate, but again, it's, like, next level. So, I have started to do the nuts, but again, I haven't gotten that deep into it, but I know for a fact, like, it's because of, like, the nutrition, and again, we didn't even talk about supplements, that's the
mhm,
other thing, like, where there's certain supplements too, so
yeah,
there's so much, and I'm slowly absorbing it like a sponge, and my hope is that you don't get discouraged because it can be overwhelming, but ladies, it is 2025 and it is time. It is time for us to like take back the narrative that periods aren't gross. I mean, yeah,
mhm.
low key like like I'm sorry,
Yeah,
like they are, but they shouldn't be. Like for our young, we need to be better for the young girls, which I will say I think we have, like, the fact that we're putting these tampons, how much metal and lead, what were we putting in our
Yeah,
body? Like,
yeah. Like,
we're walk
we fixed it now, but okay. I'm
but, like, we right, but it's like we walk so you all could run,
Mhm.
as it should be,
Yeah.
but I think that too I wanna maybe this is, like, final point though, of I think we're gonna be talking a lot about AI this year. We've already talked about how we ourselves are looking into software and how we can use in our business. And I think that is very important. This is a topic I think that marketers, especially social media marketers who we've already had clients who said they're gonna like, we don't need your services anymore because we're gonna use ChatGPT to write our captions and write our emails. Let them.
Mhm.
However, I think we as marketers, this is going back to the state of the union you were saying, where it's like we need to be educating our audiences and our clients on, hey, I actually use AI, but in a smart way where our audience isn't going to be like, these people are dumb because like I can see you're using it in your captions. Like that's embarrassing.
Mhm.
So like how you can use so maybe we start maybe I do this for our feed. Again, we're throwing out those ideas, but like maybe each week I we figure out a way we give our audience a prompt almost where it's like how to
Mhm.
use AI this week. And I think that how to kick it off too is like how you can use AI to sync your
Yeah.
cycle or help you
Yeah, I
sync your
like it.
cycle. And also, I'm gonna add one more thing too. I think maybe this is our I don't want to say battle call. That is not what I'm trying to say, but almost like if for whatever reason it'd be cool, but if there is a period brand listening or somebody who works for a period and women's wellness
Mhm.
business in general, if you are marketing to that industry, we want to hear from you like, come to our table. Please come to our table. Like, let's help these businesses market better because it's a shame. It's a shame because a lot of them are small women owned businesses and it's not your fault. It's just like
Mhm.
you're not like you started this business to help women and no, creating content is probably not what you intended to do. So like also like we volunteer as tribute like come to our like let us help you. There's already a few brands that I've sent to Jessica because I'm like we could do better, they
Mhm.
could do better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and also okay, this will be my last thing though, but if there is a period brand or a women's wellness brand that you love, please drop it in the comments.
Mhm.
I want to follow them. I want
Yeah.
to
Yeah, like, who's doing marketing right in the industry? We need to know.
yes. Yes, and also what brands you love because this is the final note I will leave you on, is some of my favorite wellness brands, because I did. There's a blog post coming out this week as well that I wrote, and it's w beautifully crafted. I think it perfectly explains this episode in better words because,
Mhm.
like, obviously I was editing it a lot, but some brands that I recommend. 1 is the Aura ring, or I'm drawing a blank now on there's a because Aura is expensive. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but
Mhm.
there are other brands like Aura out there that can help you track your cycle. Another one is Cycle Tea Co. And they, oh my gosh, Jessica. So if you're a tea drinker, they have teas for each phase of your cycle that you're supposed to drink during each phase. And again, I've noticed a difference. Like
Mhm.
it's awesome. I'm trying to think of another one. Not those are the main ones I would say, along with the book. So
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. We need, like, a starter pack, like,
yeah,
cycle
that's
syncing starter pack. So, yeah, that was good. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think there was, like, so many good takeaways, and I think too, like, as you guys are listening to this episode, of course, like, go over to #manage on Instagram and, like, I don't know, share your take or like, maybe there's like cycle seeking veterans like in our community. It would be awesome to like learn from you because I think this is something that like as women, like and women who are new to this, like we'll always be learning about like our bodies and our cycles, like especially as we like, age and go through changes. So I think this was so good. And of course I like that we can bring it back to cycle syncing for our social media business. Like, I think it's just so funny how like health and wellness truly is like well-rounded in everything that you do. Like everything.
I also wanna say okay, last note. I wanna also encourage you to go read the blog post too because I feel like now, like, my ADHD brain is, like, reflecting back of, like, "Oh my gosh, did I actually tell them how they can sync their cycle with their business?" The blog explains it because I created my own table of, like, activities, like, where it's like, "This is the phase you should be scheduling, client meetings. This is this is the phase you should be writing blog posts," all that.
Mhm.
That's too much to put in a
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah. And go get
but
the resource and the blog. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So,
Yeah.
thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I appreciate you all, and we will catch you guys next week on the airwaves.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you made it this far, I think we've officially become internet besties. You can always call into the hashtag hotline and say hello, leave a review, or ask your burning questions.
Make sure you follow, rate, and review the podcast wherever you're listening from. Subscribe to the Social Club newsletter for our weekly email and shoot us a DM over at #manage on Instagram, letting us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode.